WKRP. Got kind of tired of packing and unpacking, town to town, up and down the dial.
Right on cue, I tell you what. Look at that. What a trip. What a trip. Listen, enough about you. Let's talk about me. When I was in the 6th grade, I gave a Bob Newhart stand-up monologue for a speech class, and I was asked to do it in front of the whole entire school for a talent show. And I came out and I did this thing, and from that day on, everybody treated me differently. Everybody. The teachers, the students, everybody. And I was a big fan of the principal of the school. She knelt down in front of me and she said, "I'm going to give you a compliment. You're not going to remember what I'm saying, but you have a thing called comedic timing, and that might be very valuable to you someday." And it has been. I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts about 5 or 6 blocks from here. I was graduated, couldn't get arrested. I got a job for a theater ticket agency off of Times Square. I worked all the major hotels, sold Broadway theater tickets, and got to know everybody in the box offices. And they passed me in for free. And I saw everything. What an education. I finally got an agent. I went in and I talked with him and I said, "If you send me up for an acting role, I'll get it." And he said, "Oh, you will?" And I said, "Yeah." Naive. And he sent me up for As the World Turns, and I got it. I went in, and a lady by the name of Jean Arley, who was the casting lady for CBS, talked with me for about 5 minutes and said, "Thank you very much for coming in, Gary." I said, I don't get to read? She says, no, the character is just back from Vietnam. He's very, very troubled, and you seem like a nice guy. I don't think you're right for the role. I said, I thought acting was becoming somebody else. She handed me a script. She said, "You got 5 minutes." I went out. I came back in. I laid the script down. She said, "You don't need that?" I said, "No." So we read, and she gave me one of the greatest compliments ever. She said, "You know, I've been in this business 50 years, and I have never been as wrong. I still don't think you're right for the role because the way you just read that, you were too troubled." Right. She said, "But I will have you a role in 1 month." And she did. They wrote in the part of the guy's college roommate, and I had him on drugs. And I became this bad boy of soap operas. I called it troubled youth. And I had a career of about 5 or 6 years of really bad guys. And I mean, I was really bad. The thing I love to say about World Turns at the time, you talk about the first job I ever had, it was live in front of 55 million people right now. You let that get away with you, you were a goner. So it was just phenomenal. So I did these bad boy roles, and then I thought, well, that's it. So I left and I started driving to California. The agent said, "There's a guy that wants to talk with you now by the name of Joe Mineta." And I said, "What does he do?" He said, "Well, he's producer of a soap opera." I said, "I can't top what I've already done. I can't top it." He says, "Just talk with the guy." So I'm in Texas, and I'm in a phone booth, and this guy gets me on the phone, and he says, "Gary, I need you for a year." He said, "The show's going to go off the air after 30 years, and I need you on the air with me for 1 year. I can tell you the date it's going to go off the air." And I said, "Mr. Mineta, I can't top what I've already done." He said, "Why don't you tell me who you want to be?" What? He said, "Just tell me who you want to be. We will write anything you want." I said, "Well, I don't have a clue." He said, "Where are you right now?" I said, "I'm in a phone booth in Texas." He said, "How about a cowboy?" I said, "You're going to do a cowboy on a soap opera?" He said, "Why not?" They built barn sets. They brought cows and chickens and horses into the middle of Manhattan at CBS. It was unbelievable. Little side note, on the very day that the guy said it's going to go off the air, it went off the air. I'm standing next to a guy by the name of Alexander Scorby, who was thought of as being the greatest voiceover person in the world. I couldn't talk with him. I mean, I didn't know what to say to him. So I said, "Hey, Alex, you got anything going for yourself?" He said, "Yes, Gary, yes, I do. I start tomorrow to record the New Testament." "You're going to record the Bible?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, good gig." So anyway, I left and I went to California for the purpose of finding something to erase the bad guy image. And I found it, a thing called WKRP in Cincinnati. I read that script and I knew it. I knew it. I'm telling you, it was everything that I wanted. It was music. It was radio. I was always in love with radio. And it was acting. And the last game, I love to tell this story. Apparently, everybody in the room picked somebody else. All the CBS guys, all the MTM people, and Mary Tyler Moore stood up and said, "Sandy's the guy. I think he's sexy. And if I do, so will millions of other women," and walked out of the room. And everybody said, "Well, I guess that's it." So I thanked her many, many times whenever I'd run into her, and she always said, "Nah," she said, "you deserved it." And you know what? I really did. So, but I think more than anything, Deborah, thank you very much for recommending me for this giant thing. Joanne, thank you for standing by me. But more than anything, I want to say, I have been in radio stations across this country countless, countless times. But inevitably, somebody will walk up to me and say, "Thank you. I'm in this business because of you." Come on. You don't think I'm proud? And I'm proud to be standing in front of you now. Thank you.